Hello, this is Steve, and the next victim in the workshop is this 97 Ford Escort. A friend of mine had it, and he said, it's not worth the inspection because, well, it had a number of things going wrong with it. But I said, hey, it's in pretty good shape. It only has a little over 100,000 miles, and it's old. But man, it's got a two-cylinder engine. I said, man, this is worth a shot trying to fix this thing. Why don't we give it a try? So anyways, I got into it, and this is what was going wrong with it. It was draining the battery overnight was the one thing. And the other thing, it was throwing a code 22 on the airbag. The airbag light would come on and it would blink twice, and then twice again, code 22. Which means that it's getting electricity back into the circuit where it should not to be, unless there's an airbag going off and they need for that. So anyways, it was actually... the main thing I was concerned with is draining the electricity. Where's that power going? So the first thing I did was I unhooked the battery, and I unhooked the negative side of the terminal, and I hooked an amp meter. Harbor Freight has this actually a pretty cheap one, and it measures DC amps. So I put the two leads between the terminal that I disconnected and the terminal of the battery and measured how many amps it was putting out. And it was putting out around 3 amps of power, just sitting there with nothing on. So I said, all right, that's a problem. Then I went into, let me show you inside the car. So I was measuring the amperage between the negative side of the battery, and the battery used to go here. Obviously, I've taken it out. But I went from the terminal that I disconnected on the negative side and the battery and measured I was putting out like 3 amps. So then I went down to the main fuse panel here and I started pulling fuses until that amperage went away. So I pulled this first one out, which goes to the fuel injectors and a few other things. Actually, I come to find out a lot more than I thought. And I pulled that one out and the amperage dropped. So I said, all right, well, that's where my amperage is going. And one of the lines, this green or white green line here, one line goes over to the there's a Y up in here, and one line goes to the airbag system and the other line goes, I had to actually trace this one out and kind of follow it, but it goes over to the alternator. And to make a long story short here, when I unplugged this plug, you can see there's my white green wire that led over from the other side. When I unplugged from the alternator, which is way down there, it kind of fixed my problem. Now the other thing, since when I unhooked the battery, I could no longer measure amperage, but I could measure resistance. So I went across these terminals of this that I unplugged, and when I put this across there, the resistance, it showed that it wasn't an open circuit. Like right now, it's an open line. That means that there's no current can flow through there because it's open. But before, when I had it hooked up to the old alternator and I put my line down there measuring resistance, I got like some ohms across that, so it measured that it wasn't completely open anymore. So now I'm chasing down this short circuit with an ohm meter instead of an amp meter. But right now you can see it's an open line on both sides of it because I have it disconnected. So it was kind of a weird thing. It was showing that the airbag light was coming on, and I had a voltage drain on the battery, and it come to find out it was the alternator. So I got a new alternator, and I'm just gonna finish hooking it up. But I wanted to show you this connector here before I plug it back into the back of the alternator. It must be there to measure power or something, I don't know. This is the main power lead coming off the alternator directly to the battery, and then this green white wire here, it's connected into the wired into the airbag circuitry. So it must have been feeding some wire, power back from an alternator into that same circuit, and that was causing the code 22. The only other thing I could see going wrong with the alternator is at low RPM, I'd get the charge light on as well. So I actually had 3 things. It would drain the battery, low RPM charge light would come on, and they give it a little gas and it would go out, and that just measures voltage, I think. And then also the code 22 on the airbag. But I was hunting down the airbag trying to figure out what was wrong with the airbags. I figured there's a short circuit in the airbag system, but it wasn't that at all. I checked that out and it was fine. So then I went back and I started chasing wires, and this white-green wire here going over to the alternator, that was the culprit. Actually, the alternator was the culprit. So it turned out pretty good, I think. I should be able to put this back together and without too much problem, and hopefully that'll fix the air bag problem, and also the alternator problem, and the charging problem. And we got a nice little car here, little 2-liter 4-cylinder, get good gas mileage. And look at this thing. This is hardly any rust on it at all. It's wagging too, man. This thing is awesome. You know, this is a nice little car. I gotta paint the hubcap, so I'm gonna put some chrome paint on that baby. That'll spruce her up real nice. Put a little shine on this thing. I put new light bulbs in it. I gotta get the haze out of the lenses there. But all in all, this thing is remarkably well preserved. A little bird crap on there that came free with the car. You can see it's really nice shape. It just has one little piece of rust over on the other side down in here in front of the left rear tire. That's it. That'd be easy to fix. Anyway, so I'll get this back on the road. My friend, he says I can have it if I fix it, and just let him drive it if he wants it. So I said, all right, sounds like a deal to me. That's pretty cool. This is a 97 Ford Escort, and we fixed the problem with by replacing the alternator because it was pulling power off the battery, and also it caused a code 22 on the airbag, which was kind of misleading there for a while. Anyways, hope this helps. We'll see you later. Bye.